Hey everyone, in this video I'll be showing you how to update data in PostgreSQL database by using Spring Boot. So let's get started. So I have already written the code for connecting as well as posting data, and if you want to watch the entire tutorial on that, you can just click on the card that is appearing on top. So if you're fine, let's begin with the update operation. So before that, let me explain you the existing code. So this is my model, which is called as person. I'm having here three columns, which is ID, name and email, which directly corresponds to the columns that are present in the table. And next is going to be the repository, as usual, the class name as well as the data type of the primary key. And final thing is the controller class, and here I'm already having some existing paths for post, fetch all and fetch by ID. I've done tutorials on that already. So now let's begin with our update operation. So for the update operation, I will be passing the ID, which is to be updated from the URL, and the name and email from the request body. So we'll be using the path variable as well as the request body annotations over here. So let's begin coding now. So it's going to be public, and the return type is going to be person, because I'll be returning the object or the row after getting updated with the new value. So I'll be just returning that. It's going to be person and update person. That's going to be the name of the function, and let me have the path. So the path is going to be put mapping, since it is an update operation, and you can just have it as update slash. As I told you, we will be passing the ID from the URL itself, so just put the variable inside curly brackets, and inside the function it's going to be path variable long, since the ID is of type long, ID comma, and we'll be getting the name as well as the email from the request body. So you need to have here the request body annotation space of type person, which is our model, and the name of the variable is going to be person. That's it. Now we are good over here. And now first thing what we need to do is we must check if our ID is present in our table or not. If the ID is present in the table, it's fine, we'll be fetching the entire row. If the ID is not present in the table, we will just return null. No update operation will be taking place, and the API call will be done and dusted. So that's the first condition, checking whether that particular ID is a valid ID or not, which means it is present in our table or not. So if it's present, just return the object. That's it. So it's going to be person model name. It's going to be existing data equal to our repository name, which is person repo, this object that I have created, person repo dot find by ID. So it's going to be find by ID. We'll be passing the ID that we have passed in the URL. This is a path variable ID, or else null. So what this statement means is that if the ID is present, you can just get the data from the table, you can return an object. If the ID isn't present, you can just return null. So if I am sending a data like 10 is not present here, in that case our existing data variable will have the value as null. So that's the logic over here. So if our existing data is not equal to null, we will perform the update logic, but if it is null, it will go to the else block, and in the else block we will just return null. That's it. So if this is null, if the ID is not present, direct returning null, no update operation will take place. So if it is not null, we will decide the update logic now. So first thing, we will be setting the name and the email in this existing data. So for that, it's going to be existing data dot set name. We don't have to set the ID because ID is the same. It's going to be the person, just okay, or else you can just have this as updated data. Yeah, updated data. So the data that I'm getting from the Postman is going to be called as the update data. So you can just put it here, update data dot get name, and the next line, existing data dot set email. It's going to be updated data get email. So this is basically the code. So now let me just explain how this works. So in the Postman, I'll be sending the just raw and just yeah, I'll be sending the name and email which is to be updated for a particular ID, right? So these values will be caught by this variable updated data, and I'm getting the name and the email. So these two lines, these two get corresponds to this value that I'm sending from the request body, and I'm just setting it to the existing data that is present in the table. So by this set operation, what happens is that the value that I'm sending from the Postman will replace the value that is present in the existing table. So that's why here we are getting the value from the object of the updated data, and then we are setting it here into that object, that the existing data object. And final thing is we need to save that. So this just sets the value. We need to save it, right? We need to make sure that make sure the Spring Boot that we are saving this data in our database. Okay. So for that we'll be using the save operation. So it's going to be again the repository object person repo dot save. It's going to be existing data. So just overwrites the name and email for that ID already present. And once you're done with this, you can also return the existing data. But this existing data will have the updated values because here we are setting the name and email. So this is pretty much the code, guys. So simple. First we are getting the ID as well as the data, name and email, which is to be updated, checking whether the ID is present or not. If the ID is present, well and good, we are getting the data. If the ID is not present, we are returning null. And if it is null, we are just returning null. No updation will take place. If it is not null, we are setting the name and email from the name and email that we have passed from Postman, and then saving it and then returning the data. As simple as that. So let me just now rerun the code. Yeah, the application has started. So in my DB I'm having the ID 1. I will go with ID 1. I'm having this some random value, and we have to make some changes to the Postman also in Postman. So go to Postman, and here we need to change the operation from get or whatever it is to put, and you need to just copy this. Basically go here and just replace this. You need to have this path, and I'm going to modify the ID 1 in my table. And next one is you need to go to body. It will be none by default, I guess. You need to go to raw, change the type from text to JSON, and you need to type this out. So this depends upon your use case, and if you have some other named column, change it. And I will just go with some random name, update name, update em, something totally random. And if I send this now, I'll be getting the ID 1, but the name and email will be the new updated name and email that I'm giving over here. So if I just send it, here you can see in the response I'm getting 200, and this is the updated name and email. So everything is fine. And now if I go to my PostgreSQL database table, so we are having the old values. So if I just refresh it or run the query again, here you can see the name has been updated and the email also has been updated. So that's the video, guys. I hope you would have found it useful. Do check the playlist of my channel. Learn a lot of data operations by using Node.js, Spring Boot in MySQL, MongoDB and PostgreSQL. Also AI APIs and AI tools. Check the playlist, subscribe me. Thanks for watching.